Hello and welcome to JI Colorist. My name is Jody and I'm happy to have you here today for this video. Today is kind of a different take. Haul videos are fun, but after the excitement of a new purchase, I often wonder if people are really still using the products. So today I'm sharing my 10 most reached for new items to me in 2022 for art supplies that I've been using in my coloring. So sit back. There's 10 items, so it won't be a long video, but I will show you a few examples of how I'm using these products and why I reach for them so often. So let's start out with something simple that I've been using for a little while. I purchased an empty Copic sketch marker and I fill it with Gamsol, which is an odorless mineral spirit. I use a pipette to do it. The sketch marker has both a chisel end and a brush tip, and you can get replacement brush tips for Copic markers. So this is my blending brush. So I was getting frustrated with purchasing the Derwent blender pens. The one blender pen is super tiny and absolutely is always dry. It's pretty much, it doesn't matter what I do to try and revive it. This one is good, but it isn't as flexible as the Copic nib. So while I do like these in a pinch, they don't do as good a job and last as long as good old empty sketch marker filled with my own odorless mineral spirits. So that's something that I use almost every time. And I started off with that one because, surprisingly enough, I reach for and use the Bambino clay crayons quite a bit. And these are a children's crayon, but they are clay based. So they're not waxy. They dissolve really well with Gamsol for blending. And I have used them numerous times in books. And especially when you're dealing with like Amazon paper and you don't want to use, your polychromos pencils on that kind of stuff. These are fun to use. They have cute little names. So I did a swatch. They're like monkey, rooster, rabbit, cow, frog. So they're cute little names, but I'm actually using them quite a bit. I just keep them in the original case. I haven't had any issues with breakage. You can sharpen them with a pencil. So the Bambino crayons, which were a cheap item, but in conjunction with my Copic blender, it's been excellent. Okay, the next item that I'd like to share is Paul Rubens glitter watercolors. Now I didn't have any other glitter watercolors other than some Fine Tech, which was the silver and gold set. So this year I purchased a 12 set, and since I've been using them, I actually wish I had purchased the larger set. So these are the colors that I do have, and I have used them on numerous coloring pages. They wet well. They look great on black paper. I don't often color on black paper or black backgrounds, so I've been using them just on white paper, and I've still been really happy. So definitely happy with the purchase, and I would recommend them. Keeping in that glitter kind of iridescent stuff, you'll notice that quite a few of my things this year have been experimenting with adding bling and stuff to my pages. This is Winsor Newton Iridescent Medium. It is 2.5 fluid ounces. I bought it with a coupon at Michael's. You can get it at most art stores. And all I do is brush it on. You can actually mix this with, if you have a regular watercolor, put it on your palette wet, and then you can add a few drops of this to it to make it glittery. So if you don't have glitter watercolors, you can use this to kind of get that effect. But I like to use this direct from the bottle, and I just paint it. So I even just use the cap area and I paint it directly over top of pencil crayon. All it does is the pencil crayon still shows up from underneath, but it gives it a nice shiny iridescent look, and it dries really fast. It doesn't add any texture to my page, so on the opposite page it's not a problem if it's a double-sided book that you can still color on the other side without having a bunch of bumps like stickles or other glitter medium adds. So Winsor Newton Iridescent Medium. So another item that I use, and I'll show you some examples of where I've been using it, is I purchased Glossy Accents. So it's basically a glue that a clear glue you put on top of your coloring to make it look shiny or reflective. I was having a problem. I did buy the larger bottle, so this is a larger bottle. They have smaller bottles the same size of a Stickles bottle. So this is the 2 fluid ounce bottle. I do have problems getting it out. I've had to snip the tip a little bit. It's still, even when you put a pin in there, and it's hard to get out. So I did switch it to another bottle that has a really long pin-like needle. So it does come out, but it does require quite a bit of squeezing. So that is the one drawback of this, is like any glue, it does, the nozzles do clog up, and you do need to take a bit of care in keeping them working. But totally love using them, love the effects that I get. And I'll show you just as an example. I generally use them now on all of my eyes, and it just gives a reflective shininess to the eye. So that's my Glossy Accents. Another item that I've really liked this year is the Signo Uniball Signo the Broad in silver. And I was going to show you, I have 3 silver pens here to compare it with so you can understand why I like it. So I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. So let's start off with Pentel Sparkle Pop. And we'll just, when you write with it, so I'll just write my name. You can see it, it's sparkly, there's some glitter there. It's a thinner line though, and so because the glitter is in there, it's not skipping, but it looks like there's, it's not a solid coverage. This is the Jelly Roll Metallic, and this one is nice. This is the 1 ballpoint, so it does write smooth, and I do like it. And these 2 used to be my go-tos. Now compare that to this one. It's just a little bit thicker, and it is much more reflective. It covers lines really well. I don't have a problem with skipping. It is just the most reflective. So it doesn't have sparkle like the glitter Sparkle Pop. So if you're looking just for some glitter, I still go to my Sparkle Pop. But if I'm looking for silver, or if I want to cover lines in a book, like a cloud or bubbles or anything, this is the one that I'm using. Really happy with it. Bought it off of Amazon in a 3-pack, and I've already purchased a second 3-pack. So really like the Signo Uniball Signo Silver. Okay, another item is I bought a variety of glitter paste. So I'll zoom you back out again. I bought 3 different Stickles glitter gel medium this year, and I also purchased 2 Recollections. All of them from Michaels, all of them on sale or with a coupon, of course. But here is the these are the ones, the Stickles. So the problem I'm having with the Stickles is they have all these little confetti chunks in them, okay, which are fine, but they're actually pretty hard to place where you want them. You smear them on and they clump together, or it's very hard. I've been using a palette knife, I've tried a paintbrush, it's just, they're not as, I don't reach for them. They're a little bit harder to use. So And then down here are the Recollections. So this is the blue one, obviously, and this one here is the clear. Now the clear is very similar to Stickles, only if you have a large area to use, the clear is the way to go. You can add it with a palette knife, or generally I've been using a brush. It's a larger bottle than the Stickles. It's 1 fluid ounce, whereas the Stickles is 1 ounce, so it's 50% larger. Very much the same texture, kind of like the viscosity of like a Vaseline kind of thing. But I love that it adds a bit of texture and it's easier to apply to a large area other than Stickles. And I'll show you a couple of examples of where I've used it. So this page here, the moon is completely covered in it, and hopefully you can, it's a little bit of texture. I've used it on snow, I've used it in like a snow globe, snowbanks. Like, it's just a very pretty texture, and a pretty like payback for the glitter on it. It's subtle, but you can definitely see that it's there. So the one that I reach for the most so far has been the clear. I have used the blue as a water, but the clear is my favorite. And I do realize that Stickles does have some colored ones, and perhaps next year I will buy a single color one and see if it's as good as the Recollections ones. But they are, you know, half the size. You know, this is 1.5 and this is 1, so, and they are more expensive, so I do need to keep all of those in mind. Okay, speaking of Recollections, we'll just continue on. I bought for the first time this year some blending brushes, and I use these mainly with gelatos. So I rub the gelato on my palette, I pick them up with the brush, and I apply them to the paper, dry brushing them. So I got 3. So this one, and this one were 3 that came with this from Michael's in a kit. And then I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought some makeup brushes, and they are similar and they work pretty much just as well. So the brushes themselves are fine, but what I like is the Recollections kit came with this cleaning pad, and so I soap up a little bit of soap, brush soap on this, and then I clean it under some running water on this, and it's really helped maintain my brushes. And so I just thought it was, you know, something easy, but something I actually use all the time, are both now the brushes and the cleaning tool. And again, that was Recollections. Something that I bought just fairly recently, and I've used only on 3 pages so far, but I know I am going to continue to use that, is the Folk Art Dragonfly Glaze. And you can get them in a bunch of colors. This one that I picked up for the first was violet, blue, green shift. So it's a blue-green shift, and I have a page in this book. So I used it straight. So this was a black background already, just from Amazon printed paper, and all I did was apply that directly to the page, so I didn't do any coloring underneath. And it just adds a totally beautiful night sky effect. And I think this would also look awesome in water. But yeah, super easy to do. If you open it up, it actually is white, and then when it dries, you get the so it's white, so you can actually see when you're applying it where you have applied it, and it dries quickly. You don't need a lot of it, just a thin coat, and there you go. So that is the Folk Art Dragonfly Glaze. And again, it comes in many different colors, and the one that I just started with was the blue-green shift. Okay, another item is I purchased a few pencil sets this year, and I purchased Derwent's a small set of the ChromaFlow. I purchased the Staedtler cheap brand from Walmart. I purchased Crayons, and I love the Crayons, the Mega Color Crayons, but I've been reaching for these Colonar woodless pencils. These are not watercolor pencils. These are actually colored pencils, and they have kind of like a nail polish finish on them. That just shaves away when you're sharpening them. I love that it's a smaller set. It has pretty much all the colors you need, so it's a great grab and go kind of set. Sometimes more is less, and sometimes the less options you have, the more coloring I actually get done, because I'm not sitting there looking at 150 pencils wondering which shade to use. So for the price, I purchased these at $15.48. I just moved them out. They come in a plastic box that kind of acts like drawers, and I just moved them into this case after getting rid of the pencils that were in this case. So that is the Colonar woodless colored pencils. A great travel set if you're looking for a quick set to just bring with you as you go. My most kind of expensive purchase that I still am reaching for and using quite frequently and will be continuing to use are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush Pens. They are water-based. They have nylon bristles. It's a super tiny brush, so it gets into super small details. I bought the 60 set. I purchased it off of Amazon, and really happy. They are water, so you could use them on watercolor paper, or like your page treated with watercolor ground, or you could just use them as a water-based marker. So very versatile, and I love that it's such a tiny tip. It gets into veins of flowers, or vines I should say, of flowers, and small leaves. So that's the Zig Clean Color. Really happy with those. So those were my 10 most reached for items that I purchased in 2022. So those are new items to me, new art supplies that I've been using in my coloring. I think it's important that whatever you purchase for your supplies, you have a plan to use them, and dig those supplies out if you haven't been using them recently. I think that we often can get caught up in the haul videos and in the purchasing, but remember, we're doing this to be creative and to be using our art supplies. They're no good not being used, so might as well dig them out and use them. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have a great coming up holiday season, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.